All right, we are live, finally. Thank you guys for your patience. Let me just link the stream real quick. Okay, ask. All right. How are you guys doing today? We got a ton of submissions. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different pieces of copy to look at. So it should be a good one. Hello, Julia. And oligarchy. Tanya, excellent. Love to hear that. What have you guys, sorry. What have you guys been working on lately? Any practice pieces, any gigs? What's going on with you? Hello, Farden. I'm doing pretty good, Google. Hella landing pages. You love to hear it. You hate to experience it. I'm kidding. Let's see. Hello, Rivera. Nice. Awesome. I think someone submitted something for their portfolio for today. So maybe we can have a conversation about what they're doing and what you're doing and where you're getting stuck. Tanya's working on a health tracker. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I guess let's get started then. Let me share my screen. This first piece of copy we have is from the one and only Mercy, who says, quote, and I quote just ahead of time, "I know it's bad, so feel free to be harsh." So let's see. What do I think about copywriting formulas? Formulas, templates, they are fine. But if you don't understand why, when, and how to use them appropriately, and when you need to scrap them completely, you're going to run into problems in the long run. I think when you're starting out, they're a good way to help you think about how to structure your copy. So, your AIDAs and your stuff like that. If you're not used to how to write copy, it's a good sort of reminder of like, oh yeah, I need to do this here and this here and this here. But as you advance and do more complex projects or just are doing new things you haven't done before, it's good to sort of experiment and try not to fit everything into a mold. So let's get into this first piece by Mercy. Context. This is a practice email for a real estate coaching program. Prospects are already in the free version and are familiar with the guru. The goal is to convert them into the paid version through this email campaign. And the paid community comes with weekly calls with the guru and other members-only resources in the community. Cool. Avatar, 24 years old, real estate buyer and agents. They're in the community already. They want some insights on how to improve their skills. They're struggling to get higher quality leads, struggling because they don't have a system in place. The idea is to help get rid of confusion and inconsistent income by introducing them to a proven system that helped the guru. This email is going to focus on a specific part of the coaching, or just emails in general, maybe, to help agents with cold calling. Offer, help them increase closing rate. Action, we're going to drive to the sales page of the paid community. And then a couple questions. Would it be okay if the sales page has tiered pricing like SaaS, and you're trying to convert them to the paid version, or better to have 3 separate sales pages for each tier, or only show the free version and try to convert them in the back end with a paid version specific sales page? That's an interesting question. I think it really depends on how you set it up. You can definitely do this tiered pricing formula, and have plenty of success with it. When you get into having 3 separate sales pages, one problem you might run into is that depending on where or how you're driving traffic to each of those pages, you might accidentally drive someone to a lower tier page that might be willing to pay for the higher tier if they knew about the benefits that come with that. So personally, I think it'd be easier to kind of segment through the copy itself. You do have to keep in mind how many options you're having. And so, maybe you have, I guess there's a few ways to do it. So you could do like 2 things. And so here's the basic one and here's another one. You could also convert through your order form and structure those upgrades as more or less upsells. And so you see this a lot in financial copy where it's, hey, you can buy this product for 1 year, but if you buy a lifetime subscription for, several $1,000s more, you get all this other stuff too. That's essentially what we're talking about here, but it's just not framed that way. So yeah, play around with it. Don't be afraid to try new stuff. I think if you already have people on your free list, you're still going to have to monetize them somehow. And so it's going to end up having a sales page anyway. So I wouldn't really try to make it too tricky for yourself. But the links of the email and sentence is okay. Any tips on how to make the copy more enthusiastic and not dead? Okay, cool. So that's the end of the copy. Subject line. Ring, ring, ring. It's a call from your Uber Eats. It's a call from your Uber Eats. Would you pick up the phone call? Some alts we got strung on a call, cold leads, master cold calling. Here's a simple story. Yeah, let's see. Hi, name. A sudden phone call rings and you answer. It's from Uber Eats. It's about the food you just placed. Place an order for. Would you hang up the call or would you stay and listen to what they have to say? I would stay and listen if I were you. This is the power of qualified leads. A lead who is interested in what you have to say. Wouldn't it be nice if every cold call was like that? But instead, you get leads yelling at you, hanging up right away, or simply wasting your time by playing with you. I know how soul-crushing cold calling can be. Don't get me wrong, I love real estate, and I've been cold calling since the start of my journey. But I was so fed up with cold calls that lead to dead ends. And I just knew there had to be a better way of cold calling. So I began experimenting and developing a system over the years. And guess what? I reached my first million just through cold calling leads using this system. You see, cold calling worked back when I started and still works in 2024 if you follow this system. The simple system has 3 parts that anyone can use. The first part is an idiot-proof method that anyone can use to qualify their leads. Leads who are ready to make a move, ready to move out of their home, or looking to buy one. Your cold calling experience will become a lot more stress-free once you know how to qualify and rank your leads properly. Here's my simple 3-step system to increase ROI for your cold call. System. Now you know the secret. It's simple, right? But if you want to know exactly how to use this 3-step system for cold calling to reach $1 million and maximize the full potential of the system, join us here where we discuss many strategies, including cold calling sign off. Okay. What do you guys think of this one? Is this interesting? Is this selling you on this course or on this community? Okay. So for me, I feel like this is too long in a few different senses. There's a lot of repetition or things that like just don't feel that compelling. They feel like they're very generic to these type of emails. And so I think you're better off just scrapping a lot of it. So for example, when you're talking about like, when you're getting to like the lead, like this part, you know, leads who are ready to make a move, ready to move out of their home, you know, oh my God, this is so soul crushing. This is, you know, there had to be a better way. I began experimenting, developing a system over the years. The ideas behind the intent that you have in writing these things are fine, but the way of saying this is so done. It's been repeated so often that it feels kind of meaningless, and it's very easy just to gloss over as a reader. Which is not to say that you shouldn't say these things, but that we need to find ways to say them that are a little bit more interesting, that include pattern interrupts that actually force people to engage with your words rather than just saying it and allowing people to like skim over it. The setup you have here with this analogy for Uber Eats is interesting, and I think okay, but the execution is a little lacking. Like, let me just read it again, and you guys can like just listen to how this sounds. A sudden phone call rings and you answer. It's from Uber Eats and it's about the food you just placed an order for. Would you hang up the call or would you stay and listen to what they have to say? I would stay and listen if I were you. Like, you're not really asking the person to think about it beyond these first two lines. And it's like, this is not how I would like write about this interaction. It'd be like, hey, your phone. Do you pick up? What if you had just placed an order from Uber Eats? Would you be more or less likely to take the call? I know I would. That's the kind of power you get when you have qualified feeds or whatever. Like, I guess. I think the problem here is that like you just jump way too quickly into like the would you pick up, and you're not actually elaborating on the parts of the unexpected call that make it a good analogy in the first place. So noting that it's an unexpected number, saying, do you pick up? Most people are going to say, no one picks up calls from people they don't know anymore. Then you add this extra detail, and then you say, now reconsider. Most people are going to say yes to this, given this situation. And so now you've formed contrast. That contrast is very easy to understand as a reader. And so now you're saying, hey, here's the difference between these two situations. I know this is how I would respond. parentheses, you probably would too. And that difference that you've just understood between the two things I've written is exactly the difference that you need to create for yourself when you're doing your cold calling. And I think this is not much longer, but I feel like it's 7.26 times more persuasive or more engaging than the version you have here. Thank you, Paula, for for doing the things I'm supposed to do. Yeah, everybody like the stream. Let's see. Maureen says, I personally always feel like the roleplay vibe emails throw me off and feel more awkward than anyone else. I think this is a really good point that we don't talk about enough. We're exposed to so many marketing messages every single day that people's bullshit sensor they're very tuned. They're better tuned now more than ever. They know, hey, if you say this, we're probably about to try to sell you something or sell you on an idea or whatever. To get around that, there are many different techniques. One of them is just being more conversational, trying to be more real about stuff. There are definitely situations, though, where keeping it real goes wrong. I think we've all seen emails where it's just way too familiar, it's way too casual. And so there are a whole bunch of needles that you don't have to thread, but I do think we need to be very careful when we're asking people to engage with questions or situations that don't feel real. And so the difference between, and that gets to the difference of like what I was trying to talk about here, where it's like, okay, on one hand, it's like, would you listen to what your Uber Eats driver had to say? Yeah, but that's not how anyone actually thinks about it. But make it about like, hey, you just did this. Would you be more likely to react this way? Given that, like, I think that it feels a little bit more natural. It feels a little bit less, about like a story and more just like proposing a hypothetical to someone that is easy to engage with. Thank you, Maria. Appreciate it. Thomas does bring up a good point that maybe someone can be excited from a call from an unknown phone number. Rare, but possible. Again, more conversational, more stressing the problem. Tanya notes that maybe I would answer if it says free gift from Uber Eats. I think that is true. And then we have to talk about the territory of like scams, where there are plenty of calls I'll get now, most of which I don't pick up, where it's like, hey, do you want a free iPhone? Yada, yada, yada. Now you have people being skeptical of that. And so even if you're trying to entice people with like real free stuff, some percentage of your audience is going to look at that and immediately dismiss it as not real. But yeah, so I would like reconsider this part, or you steal this. That's cool. In terms of the rest of the email, consider someone who is struggling with cold calling, someone who's struggling with leads, already knows how important it is to get those things right. So you don't need to sell them on how great it would be if every cold call were like this. That is not the obstacle that you have to overcome as a copywriter to get someone to click down here. So the time you spend, particularly at the beginning of the email, on that is like it's gonna be a little bit dicey. Instead, we need to find the thing that someone hasn't thought of before, the thing that's interesting, the thing that's intriguing, that gets them to stop. We call this a pattern interrupt a lot. And be like, oh shit, I actually do need to pay attention to this. So like, what if instead of like saying, hey, that's the kind of power you get when you have qualified leads, we say like, hey, that's the power you get, or you're able to harness, or let's say you can harness in every single cold call if you use you know, the secret technique, this secret technique I developed during my journey to real estate success. Cool. So now instead of just saying like, hey, this is the thing, now we're going to say, hey, here's this crazy cool power that is a secret, so you don't know it, and that was developed during the same journey that you're now in. Starting this way lets us then tease this throughout here. We can talk about the secret. We can allude to the journey, all this other stuff. And throughout the reading, the reader's going to have this in mind, that there's this thing that they don't understand that you know that they're going to want access to. And so then when you say, like, you know, this secret, like this stuff right here, like instead of people hanging up or somebody wasting your time, you know, this other thing is going to happen. You can then say like, hey, because I have this secret, this stuff doesn't happen to me anymore. Because I have this secret, you know, I've made this much money. I've done this. You're chaining all of those examples and proof points back up into an idea that is already compelling. And so instead of relying on each of those situations to kind of grab people when they're kind of, you know, weak or they've heard them before, you are using the things that they already understand as true and take for granted as proof points to this new higher idea that is going to sound more attractive. So you're basically using someone's like preconceived notions against them. So I'd say like mostly think about that. The other thing is, and this is like a really big thing that I see a lot of people do not spell out what your system is in your emails. You don't want to spell that out basically anywhere on your front end, because you're taking all this intrigue, you're taking all this mystery, and you're just revealing what the thing is before they've even clicked. At the very least, talk about this on the sales page. But ideally, you're going to tease through this. You might reveal the mechanism or whatever. And it's not until the person actually makes a purchase that you're going to tell them exactly the way that you're achieving these results. I understand the intent behind this. It's to be transparent. It's to tell them what they're going to get. But we also have to understand that when you are selling like this, you're not just selling a system that is verifiable, that is, you know, measurable. You are also selling the feeling that someone gets when they have obtained a thing. And so you need to carry the intrigue, the sexiness, the you know, the perceived value of what something like that could do for somebody through all the way even past the sale. So when you do things like just spell out what your thing is, especially this early on, like you are cutting your legs out from under yourself. So be very careful about that. And I would honestly just like kill this part. And then, yeah, it's like dating somebody or like going on a date. If you go on a first date with somebody and you tell them your entire life story and everything you're into and all of your kinks or whatever on day one, there's nothing left for them to discover. And so they're gonna not have nearly as much interest in you. You gotta have that air of mystery. And yeah, Tanya, that's absolutely true. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. This one is, who's this from? It's from Mr. Mario. Context. This is a welcome email for a self-defense and fitness academy. I subscribed to their newsletter and noticed they don't have a welcome email, so I wrote one. Here is their website. First off, great idea. Love this. This is a very great way to kind of get your foot in the door. If you are interacting with the business, you kind of know the business, and you're like, hey, you're missing this really key marketing component. Let me write it for you. Lots of people will be receptive to that. So classes, lots of different styles. Love this. Cool. So it's literally just a welcome email. Okay. Subject line: welcome to our academy. We are thrilled to have you here. Hey, name. Congratulations on joining us. You just took a massive step towards a healthier, more confident version of yourself. A version that cannot be bullied, threatened, or intimidated by any wrongdoer out there. Not everybody grabs life by the throat like you just did. We respect and appreciate you for that. Our mission is to teach as many people as possible how to defend themselves so they can deal with any threat that may appear in their lives. With over 20 years of experience, we will help you achieve your goals as smoothly as possible. Whether you're looking to master basic yet highly effective self-defense tactics, or aiming to learn more advanced techniques that would crush 90% of the populations, which we urge you to use ethically and only in big danger, we've got you covered. Click here to get more information on how we can help you. And don't forget, you can start your training right away by checking our free on-demand 2-week online trial or 2-week online trial training. You have all of our self-defense masterclasses and dynamic martial arts programs at your fingertips. Don't miss this opportunity. Muay Thai, kickboxing, Eskrima, Hapkido, and many more are waiting for you to give them a try. This online trial training covers everything you need to kickstart your journey to become a kick-ass, confident, and self-reliable individual, because you deserve it. Click the button below and grab your 2-week free trial. CTA. Regards, your biggest fans from the Academy of Self-Defense. Okay. This is okay. One thing, just kind of at a higher level, I think it might help here to go back to your customer avatar or audience persona or whatever you want to call it, and think about where they're coming from and why they're signing up for this. There are lots of different reasons why someone could sign up for some kind of self-defense course. And looking at all this company has to offer, well, please, that many times. You know, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, they got boot camps, boxing stuff, you know, circuit training. Given that there's so many different reasons that someone may have ended up on your list, the motivations and desires they have are probably going to be just as diverse. So when we are writing this email, we need to be mindful of that and make sure that we're speaking to all of those things. If you're having a hard time selling on one, I might consider getting down to 2 or 3 different people, and then just writing a different welcome email for each, just to kind of think about. And then, you know, depending on how people are getting onto the list, let's say it's like you click like this page and on here is a pop-up that's driving to sign up to an email list. Maybe this one leads to one that's specific to, you know, people looking for these sort of boot camp style trainings. But the reason I say this is because the copy here is very focused on that sort of image or idea of somebody who like is that John Wick-esque badass where like, you know, you're just like a walking weapon. You can't be bullied anymore. You know, you're able to take down, you can crush 90% of the population. And it's true that there's like a significant population of people who sign up for these things that probably value that. But I bet that there are a lot more people that are not coming into this thinking that. Perfect example of this is my girlfriend just started kickboxing lessons, and she's not doing that for self-defense reasons. It was literally, she wants to be more active. She found a place that had some like free lessons for a couple weeks. Her friend decided that she wanted to go, and so now they're doing it together, and she now loves it. It has nothing to do with like crushing the population. And if you were to phrase to her, like, hey, do you want to take this course that will help you destroy people's souls? She'd be like, probably not. That sounds too intense for me. So it's very important to consider that, particularly in your welcome email where you're going to be speaking to lots of different people, that not everyone is going to be here for the exact same reason. Yeah. One way of getting around that is, instead of speaking to like sort of the what they're going to learn, think a little bit more about like the outcomes. So what happens when someone has learned how to crush 90% of the population? Well, that person probably walks around with like more confidence in the world. Coincidentally, that's the same thing that happens when someone who has not felt confident about their body, or who has felt like they're out of shape for a long time, starts taking these classes, and it's like, holy shit, I can do this, and I'm pushing harder and pushing harder and pushing harder. That person also comes out with that same sort of confidence and swagger and, you know, feeling good about themselves. You can kind of totally shift that into more of like that dangerous, you know, fitness-esque thing. It doesn't have to be like self-helpy, but if you speak to like the mentality that emerges when someone engages with any of these kinds of trainings, that's going to help you speak to all these different kinds of people without getting so specific that you end up alienating parts of the audience. In terms of the actual offer here, I think if I'm understanding this correctly, this is like a free list that you sign up for on the website, and then you're trying to drive to the actual subscription. If that's the case, I guess it kind of depends on like what the original sign up was. If it was just like get information on courses or get a discount or whatever, that's going to tweak how you present this. If does this place have in-person trainings as well, or is it all online? Instructors, pricing, program schedule. Okay, so they have in-person classes and online classes, events. Okay, cool. So the way I would do this is be like, hey, if you want to like pretend like it's a real life gym, and then have the sort of like online stuff be a bonus. Be like, hey, come visit us, come whatever, this historic whatever our experience. And then you can pivot and say, and you know, if you don't want to come, or if you want to train in the privacy of your own home, you want to, you know, speak to all those benefits someone can get from doing this remotely, you know, access, availability, variety, whatever. Introduce this then as like a bonus sort of thing, as a bonus opportunity for people to engage with. Yeah, and I think that's about it. Yeah, so it's pretty decent. You could make some mention of whitelisting this email, or you know, putting it or making sure it's like marked as like your regular inbox so that it doesn't go to spam. So that's a big concern for particularly these initial emails. Yeah, this is like pretty decent. Next email or next thing. This is from Shah. Hey Rod, thanks for doing this. You are welcome. This is going to be a bit different compared to other submissions, but hopefully it's an experiment you enjoyed. So I came up with a couple ideas for my Upwork video intro. I created 2 basic vids in Canva. I'm new to video editing, so the production is far from perfect, but hopefully good enough for a review. An idea, validation more than anything else, just need your thoughts. It's one of the videos, but clearly better than the other. If yes, does the flow work well? And what would I add and change? Okay. Let's see. Shah, are you here by chance? Just real quick. Looks like no. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's watch this video. I don't know how well if the volume will work, but just bear with me. Let me know if it doesn't work for you guys, and I can talk through what's happening. what's the real? Okay. So there's one. There's another. Okay. Shots here, great. Can't hear the audio. There was just music in the background, so you guys did not miss anything. Um, um, okay. I think both of these have some challenges. It, the sort of tone of the copy. Um, I guess where should we start? Let's start with the copy. So this suffers from a lot of what I was talking about in Mercy's email at the beginning, where you're speaking in a lot of like genericisms, which is to say that you are repeating concepts that kind of feel cliche. And so if I am like a business owner and I'm looking at your page or I'm watching your video, I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, sure, that's true, but this doesn't tell me anything different or anything I don't know, or really get into what's different about you than any other copywriter. So many people out there, particularly on Upwork, speak to these very like surface level concerns or surface level arguments about why copywriting is so important, talking about benefits instead of features. Like everyone is saying that, and so it's not setting you apart. And so that's tough. The other thing is like in terms of the visuals for the video, this is tough because this is not like a art direction community, but as someone who's worked with some art directors, you're using lots of B-roll, and that's completely fine. It's accessible, great. But you have to be very tight about the way you use it because what you were saying on screen wasn't always like mapping out to the actual like image in the background. And so like if you're talking about like problems people are having in their business or not having conversion or people aren't buying, people hate them, whatever, the film you need for that needs to be very specific to that problem and not just people looking unhappy, for example. Or also feels like, I don't know, the like an infomercial, which is not great. Yeah. Let's see. And is one better than the other? I like the first better than the other because it gets to you actually get to like why someone should hire you and not just like the state of copywriting. Um, but it's not great. Um, in terms of like copy flow, visuals, music, one note on like the actual editing. I am going to use a very strong word. I hate when people do the one letter is going to pop up at a time thing because I read very fast and I think most people read very fast. If you're going to have text come on screen, have it all come out at once because someone can then read that very quickly. and they're not like sitting there watching the letters come out at this very slow pace, which is very annoying and creates friction for the viewer. Music is fine. Honestly, this would be 20 times better if you could narrate it with your voice, if you're comfortable doing that. What would I change to make it more compelling? I think you need to find an argument or an angle that feels unique, or at least unique enough to you, such that it like working with you sounds like a different experience that someone's going to get. That one way to do that is to kind of come down from these higher level, features versus benefits ideas, or audiences like will stop hating you or whatever conversation, into more tactical, more like real day-to-day business struggles conversations. And so like how do I do this for this? It can be something like you could talk about like generating leads. You could talk about ads that do okay, but not great, or they're not quite hitting the numbers. I think the reality is, for most businesses, the reason they hire copywriters isn't because they're failing. It's because they're doing well enough that they want to do better and can afford to do better, but they're not like, they don't feel like failures. The people who run them don't feel like they suck. They don't feel like people hate them. And so when you use those terms, they're like life or death, or like, hey, if you don't do this, your business is going to die in a pit. Like, that's a turnoff. So yeah, I would kind of go back to the drawing board and think a little bit more, or think in less hyperbolic terms, be a little bit more conversational. And, you could even frame that as like your USP. You're like, look, I'm not going to, I know you're probably doing fine, but we both know you want to do better. I think that's probably a good way to approach this. There you go. Next. Sorry, but just to kind of like close that, this was a good job. This is more than like 90% of people do, 99% of people do, and so like it's a good effort. I see what you were trying to do. It's just given like the sort of, you're in a very narrow lane, and so you have to be super, super, super sharp in order to have that payoff. I think people's expectations for videos, for that sort of content, is relatively high because YouTube is at our fingertips, and we're all exposed to really great tight editing all the time now. So it's hard to do your first thing and have it live up to that level. So please definitely don't feel bad about that or any of the stuff. It takes practice. You've seen our videos, for example, where we're still learning, we're still developing, we're still iterating, and we've been doing this for years at this point. So it's not the kind of thing where I'd expect you to get that right first try. Feel free to submit more of these, ask more questions, whatever. I'm happy to help. All right, so now we have a cold email from Mr. Singer Songwriter. I don't have any privileges, but that's okay. So this is a cold email, and a reply to it I would like to get critiqued. It was sent to a CTO and co-founder of MailMunch. It's for landing pages, collecting leads through forms, etc. So make sure you include your like subject line and stuff next time, just so I can know kind of why the person clicked it. Anyway, so I really love having MailMunch on my website. It's pretty easy to set up, and you all have amazing tech support. I think it's mind-numbing because all the tech stacks I sought the path of becoming a web developer. I don't even do the type of coding very well. I saw some opportunities for you in creating an onboarding sequence, as I only got one welcome email from MailMunch when I became a member. Would you be interested in chatting about it on the phone for 5 to 10 minutes? I'm available to chat this coming up Tuesday, anytime between 11 and 3:30 EST. If you're not available then, what time slots do you have? Your stuff. So just scroll past that quickly. It looks like you have someone in charge of email marketing, so please forgive me if I seem critical about the opportunities I saw for you and your company. I like this note. And then you replied after a few hours. You need a total of 5 emails for an onboarding sequence. How do I write it for you? And if you use them, you can pay me just $50 per email. And if you don't like them, pay me nothing. It needs to consider data though to begin. I can send you over 1 page to your customer pro, fill it out. And send you contract for an offer. Let me know soon. Okay. So this first email is fine. I'm trying to settle on a point where I'm not showing your personal info. Sorry. I would use a different word than mind numbing, because I think when I read that, that sounds bad to me. If something's mind numbing, it's like, it's like bad. It's like so boring that I want to stop. So I would rephrase this. This sentence, I'm not quite sure what you mean by this. If you mean like, it's crazy because, tech stack these days are so complicated and like difficult to integrate, yada, yada, yada. Even as someone who briefly studied web development, most tech stacks require a level of, coding knowledge that wasn't accessible to me. Therefore, Mail Munch is great. Then I saw some opportunities. Would you be interested in chatting? One, I think this is fine. I would maybe not specify, I would maybe not say on the phone, because so many people will do Zoom these days. People might not want to give you their personal phone number, and most people don't have work phones anymore. So I'd say, like, would you be interested in a call, in a 10 to 15 minute call to chat about it? And then that can be Zoom, that can be on the phone, whatever the other person prefers. Just make it easy for them. I'm a little bit torn about this part, where the specificity, the very brief time frame is great. You're like, hey, are you free this day between these times? That's very easy for someone to understand and say yes or no to. On the other hand, the chances that they're going to be busy are relatively high. So a lot of people are just going to say no. And then you have to do the back and forth of, hey, when are you free? When are you not free? Whatever. So I would give like a couple days. I would give maybe some broader ranges or whatever. And then, like, yeah, this is fine. This part is a really big problem to me, though, because a few hours is not a long enough time for someone to like read your email. For context, like if I look at my schedule at work, here, let me do this right now. Not on the screen though. So if I look at my schedule yesterday, I had meetings basically from 10:30 until 3. Then I had like an hour-long gap, and then I had a 4:30 meeting. So if you had sent me an email after 10:30, I wasn't even really gonna consider reading it until 3 o'clock. And then at 3, I'm like, okay, I need to like actually do some work. I need to maybe eat. I need to take a break mentally. I need to whatever. And so if you had sent me this at 10:30, and then you're sending me a follow-up at 3, I'm like, I didn't even read your first email. Why are you bothering me with the second one? And so you want to give people at least 24 hours, probably like 2 or 3 days though, because cold outreach is a very low priority for most people. And you don't want to come across like you're badgering them. Understand how busy people are, or where your emails come in the priority of their day, and then kind of use it accordingly. I did see that he read my first email though. Yeah, there's I guess two things. One, a lot of like those email, like the red notifications are faulty these days, because particularly people are on Apple products, they will automatically, like, their email service provider will like read their email and open it for them without that person having actually manually done it. And so that information is not always reliable. But two, there are plenty of times where I get a random email, look at it, and like I might skim it, but I'm not really engaging with it, and I might not really consider it, or I might not, I might be, oh, I'll reply to that later. Me having opened the email is not indicative of me like wanting to respond or not, or whatever. So give people more time. And so particularly, like, given that you've said this stuff to this person, they didn't reply, your ask was like, hey, can I write an onboarding sequence for you? They haven't given any indication that they want the onboarding sequence, and now you're going into details about how it would work and how much it would cost, and then you're asking them to do work for you by then finding customer data, which might be worth more than the $250 they would be paying you for this. And so then it's like, is this the person just trying to get a hold of our data? Keep in mind also that like this specific individual might not have this data handy in a way that is easy to send to you. So like, for example, at my job, I've gotten access to like at my job, like we actually do like marketing for like big companies. But like, if I want their consumer research data, that is not something they will just give me. I have to like go through my boss, who will then talk to whoever person on their side, and then that person will have to find it and decide what they want to give us, what they don't want to give us, what's appropriate, whatever. And then the format they send that over in might not be like super useful. And so there's kind of a back and forth, like, no, I actually wanted this thing, whatever. And so just, that's all to say that this is not like an easy ask. And depending on the size of their business, depending on how much like revenue they do, this might be a very expensive ask, because I could just as easily see, like, you're offering this service at like a very inexpensive price. And so if you're saying, hey, just pay me $250 and in return give me, potentially thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in consumer data, like, that could be like a scam even. Like, that sounds kind of smart, actually. So yeah, and then 2 days after that, you send this other one. I think rather than say, hey, I found this article for you, I would summarize 2 or 3 key points. Hey, I found this article on why, every business needs an onboarding sequence. Some key takeaways I think you would find important for Mail Munch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You decide not to work with me, then it's cool. I feel like you should know this. Cool. That's fine. But definitely the reaching out a couple hours after, after is like way too soon. Cool. Next email. This is from Wes, Mr. Call Me Wes. Clarity group for female entrepreneurs. I love these. So context. This is a sales page for a monthly membership to a mentorship community for female entrepreneurs, delivered by Marissa, the Forever Coach. The group is called Clarity Group for Women and Female Entrepreneurs. Name not finalized. It's not active yet. Clarity is a key term. She's a higher ticket one-on-one coaching programs, but wants to reach more women from the Pacific Islands with low to mid-range price offers like this. Price is $67 small group, still for online, monthly meetups, check-ins. Cool. Thank you for including this info. Prospects will reach this page through Facebook and Instagram ads and emails. And the business has an email list that I'm helping them to grow, and they will reach this page through an email launch campaign. Target audience, Pacific Islands / Oceania women in their late 30s to 50s who have their own businesses or are thinking of starting their businesses and are seeking guidance in a supportive community of other women and the potential for networking. Great. This is super helpful info. You're a champ. Are you a deeply passionate woman with a burning desire to take your business to new heights, but you can't seem to find the right guidance and support as a female entrepreneur? How much clearer could your path to success be if you could connect with a community of like-minded women and women entrepreneurs? Why not join my Clarity Group for Women Entrepreneurs and start collaborating with women eager to support, mentor, and learn from each other so that we grow and succeed together? Unlock access to the group for $67 future. And not only is this a great investment in yourself, but it's also a business expense. Smart. Join today. I have limited spots available, and they'll be closing soon. Here's why you should join. Personalized support and expert guidance. We understand that each of us have unique business ventures with individual problems that require customized solutions. The Clarity Group grants you access to learn from successful women while also sharing and learning from others on the same journey as you. Small working group focus. Inside access to valuable networking opportunities. Safe and inclusive environment. Special stuff. I feel like in this one, there's a lot of opportunities to speak to the group being like women only. So, like 5 women, 4 women, something like that. Still unsure. Here's what other women I've worked with are saying. I've honestly felt so much growth. I've gone through something new. Don't let fear of going alone hold you back from realizing your full potential. Join this group and discover a clear path to business success. Still have questions? Book a free clarity call with Marissa here. Cool. All right, this is interesting. There's thoughts in the chat about this one. I feel like you do a lot of things right here. For this section, I think the descriptions you could cut down a lot. Think of these like bullets where they need to be a line, maybe 2 lines tops, very sharp, very direct in what they get or why the thing is important. One thing that I have noticed about copy in this niche is that, yes, it's about the sort of literal goal of developing your business, networking, connection, or connecting with people or support. But it's also one way this gets sold really, really well is as more like a spiritual endeavor. Think about what it means to own a business for anybody. You have an idea, you find the courage to put that idea out to the world. You're paying lots of money, you're investing time, you're investing resources. You probably have lots of people in your life looking at you kind of funny, doubting you. Now, throw on top of that being a woman, where in a lot of places, even in the US still, the expectation is that you're not so bold, that you're playing it safe, that you're supportive of other people, that you're not going it out on your own. When you hit resistance, you won't be so resilient. Throw on top of that, I would imagine that things are even less progressive in that sense in this region of the world. And so if you are a female entrepreneur here, you have had to be a huge badass in your life, even if people don't acknowledge you as that. So when we're talking to these people or to these women, it's not just, you can't seem to find the right guidance and support. It's like few people in your life understand what you've had to do to get here and how much further you still want to go. How much easier would it be if you didn't feel like you were going this alone? And so then instead of why not join my Clarity Group for women entrepreneurs, it's like join a community, join the Clarity Group for women entrepreneurs, or join my group, my group of women who are walking down the same path as you with their heads held high. Speak to that pride, to that commitment, to that courage, fearlessness, whatever. And then hint at the ways at which other people don't appreciate them, and that this group will appreciate them for that. Yeah, definitely. A lot of this is just cutting down, making it a lot more clear. Yeah, definitely this as well. I think a lot of this is like what you're selling here is confidence. What you're selling here is connection, community. And so that needs to come from a place of certainty, stability, of like self-perceived value. And so as the person selling it, imagine you are, who's this? Marissa. If Marissa were talking to these women, Marissa would not say, "Are you still unsure?" She would say, here, I know my value, whatever, but here's what other people have to say. Here's why other women joined, or here's why women like you spend their time with people like me. Kieran asks, how many rounds of editing do you go through before you submit a completed piece of copy? So our favorite answer, it depends. It depends on what the copy is. If you're writing a YouTube community post like I do sometimes, that might be a quick one over, passing or sending it by your editor or teammates or whatever to okay, and then just sending it out. If you are writing a 70-page sales letter, all of that is getting reviewed many, many, many times. Probably a good rule of thumb in the practice, and like if you have the time to do this is super easy to do, and I cannot encourage enough, is write your copy, set it down, put it aside, don't open it back up for 24 hours, go back, reread it, and think about how you feel about it. First level is correct any of your grammar mistakes, any of like the spelling errors, whatever. Make sure all that stuff is super tight and easy. But then also think about, okay, I know I had this idea when I wrote it. Is that the idea that I'm getting back when I'm rereading it? And if not, doing some editing, moving around, shifting, most of the time cutting to get it to feel the way you need it to do. If you don't quite get it there in your first pass through, that's fine. I'd say, give it at least a couple hours or something to sit, reread it, and do the same thing again. If your first draft is like decent, you probably only need to do that, 2-3 times for most pieces of copy. But yeah, anything we're going to be editing many, many, many times, you're probably going to have an editor. You're probably going to be working with a larger team who's going to be giving you feedback. Yeah, Paula should be running the show because she is exactly right. Centering the efforts of these women, I think is like the big thing. And really, like, this is where we stop being copywriters and we have to kind of put our psychologist caps on. We have to think about what the experience of our audience is like. And so particularly when we're talking about women, particularly when we're talking about women in this age bracket, so we're a little bit older, who have gotten past, just to kind of generalize, to these are women who have gotten past all the life milestones that we talk about culturally when we talk about women. They may or may not be married. They may or may not be past the point of having kids. And so our expectations for women are like on the floor. But we still expect them to be giving to everybody else. We still expect them to, be self-sacrificing and stuff. And so empowering these women with the message of, hey, you know what? Put yourself first. Hey, you know what? Your life isn't about what you do for other people. Your efforts for yourself are just as valid. Your goals for yourself, even your business goals, are just as valid. And this is space for us to support and uplift you in that and validate that, like, hey, you're doing the right thing by focusing on yourself. It's a hugely empowering message. So yeah, Paula for president. Yeah, if you have more questions about this, feel free to, at me at the Discord or whatever. This is like a really cool area of copy to write in because we get to speak to audiences who don't have a lot of people rooting for them. And so it's not that hard, relatively speaking, to be really real with them and also like have them listen to us and appreciate that, because many women feel so underappreciated that even just saying the bare minimum of like, hey, no, you do got this, is like, a lot of times people will be like, holy shit, really? Like personally, like when I was still a speechwriter, I worked with some like 60-year-old women, kind of on their personal branding, and like would write speeches for them. And I like ask them what they did or what they accomplished, and they'd be like, oh, I helped do this, or I helped do that, or, I was part of a team who did this. And inevitably I'd have to stop them and be like, if I were talking to a man, they wouldn't say I helped do this. They would say I did this, or not that I was a part of a team who did this. They'd say I led a team who did this. So why aren't you saying that? Because that is what you did. That is how you're actually describing what you like did when we break down like how you were actually involved. Why does it feel so difficult for you to own that leadership, to own that boldness, that courage, that whatever? And then we have those eureka moments, and then the way we're talking about everything changes. And then it's almost like, and then we haven't just written a speech, or we haven't just written like a press release. We have like started to change the way that this person thinks about themselves and what they're capable of. It is so hugely important, not just on a, copy, persuasion, messaging efficacy level, but also on a human level, to recognize how badass people are and how being a badass can look different in so many different ways. So take advantage of this opportunity. This is really cool work. Lean into it. Also talk to some women in your life, because they'll have thoughts and opinions on how this can sound good. Or just talk to Paul, apparently. Next. This is from Galen, I believe. Yes, Galen. So this is a sales page for a wedding photographer. Cool. Target audience are newly engaged brides who are at the beginning of their wedding planning process. They're solution aware, so they know they need a wedding photographer. The pains, they're nervous behind the camera. They're nervous about planning their wedding. They want to look beautiful. They want to document their special day. The goal of this piece of copy is to get the reader to email the photographer and book a consultation or a sales call. Due to format, this page, the start is on the page below. Cool. Let's see. This cool. Personalized and authentic. Capture your wedding day exactly how you envisioned it, with unique photos that tell your unique love story. Photos that are candid, timeless, and unposed. See if your day is still available. The best photo from each wedding with an attached testimonial. Kiara is amazing. I'm ready to review 2 weeks after my wedding, and we just got our photos back. I can't believe how beautiful she made me feel. She captured me and my partner's best angles and found so many moments that I didn't even know I wanted to capture. But now that I look back at our photos, the small details are some of my favorites. The lace of my dress, my shoes, the venue. I can almost hear our wedding day again whenever I look at them. This is a fantastic testimonial. Holy shit. Oh my God, I feel like I'm still glowing. I don't think I've ever felt so beautiful. We haven't even received our photos yet, and I can't recommend Kiara enough. I don't know how she did it, but my partner and I are always so tense and awkward behind a camera, but she made us feel so chill and laid back. I was so nervous that I would tense up behind the camera, but I was surprisingly relaxed. Thank you, Kiara, for being a part of our special day and taking away all the pressure. Edit. We just got the photos, and I can't stop looking at them. They are so good. It's like flipping through a storybook all about our love story. P.S. My family loves them. I can't recommend Kiara enough. She made us feel so at ease. She captured the feeling and emotion of the day so well that it still feels like it was yesterday. Our favorite part was our sneak peek photos. I honestly can't believe she got them to us within 24 hours of the event. Okay. So yeah, I don't think that you can ask for better testimonials. Like, these testimonials are so good that, like, I can imagine someone trying to fake testimonials and them still not being this good because they're just so good. And so before I actually get into like what you've written, I guess first off, props for, having the photos, or having like, the photos and then the testimonials up front. That is exactly the right move. When you're looking for a photographer, you want to see the kind of photos that they take. And then having testimonials this good is, it's like you definitely want to showcase them. There might be an argument for cutting them down, for cutting out just the basic chunks of like highlighting. One thing that will come up is that readability is a big thing. And so if these are all blocks of text, because these are regular people, and so someone might not want to read all of this. One solution to that is to just cut out the like one or two important parts from each, and kind of have each one of these testimonials highlight a certain benefit you get from working with this person. So for this first one, like, I can't believe how beautiful she made me feel. She captured me and my partner's best angles. You could just like cut this down to this part. The next one could be, I'm always so tense and awkward behind the camera, but she makes me feel so chilled and laid back. And this one could be about like the sneak peek photos, whatever. That is one answer, and I think a lot of copywriters would say that. Also, I personally am a hoe for long form, and there is something so human about the way that these people wrote these testimonials that I think you lose if you cut them down significantly. One solve for this is to, instead of having like 3 photos next to each other, start the page with like a large photo, and then underneath have the full quote. And so it's spread horizontally across the page, and so it looks less big, less choppy. Because these sound like the way that people actually talk about working with someone, that people actually experience these things. And it feels way more organic, way more authentic, and way more honestly impactful to give these people a platform to talk about, their experience with this person. That's how I would do it. Some other people might disagree. Think about that. Choose how you want to go about that. Okay, so thinking about testimonials, thinking about what they're doing for us. So the power of testimonials is that they are giving credibility. They are literal customers, people who have experienced something, talking about, hey, I did this thing, this is the result I got, and suggesting why, or suggesting how a future buyer might achieve the same result. They're not from the person selling the product, and so they're perceived as more trustworthy and more authentic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We love that. One incredibly underrated aspect of testimonials is that when you give the microphone from the person selling the product to the person buying the product, you allow them to talk about things that you as a copywriter, you as a business owner might like kind of know, but don't necessarily understand as like the primary benefit or feature of whatever product or service you're offering. That gets you into these tiny, tiny details and nuances that can be the difference between someone buying or not buying. Things like I can almost hear our wedding day again whenever I look at them. Or, you know, it's like flipping through a storybook about our love story. You know, she captured the feeling and emotion of the day so well. I don't think I've ever felt so beautiful. This is no longer just a list of things these people have felt or experienced, whatever. We're now kind of talking about like atmospheric levels of like vibe and like this is the tone that we need to capture through everything else we write, because it's not that, oh, Kiara takes pictures that make you feel beautiful. It is, you now have this experience of beauty that you've never understood about yourself, that whenever you look back at your wedding, you're going to feel again for the rest of your life. It is hard for me to talk about how powerful this is if you can take the way that these people are talking about their experience with this person and write the rest of your copy that way. So my bar now for your copy, and this is going to be unfair and a little bit brutal, is that you need to write everything else the way that these people are talking about this experience, or like the things you're talking about, the things you're pointing to, highlighting, showing is important, needs to be the same thing that these people are saying is so important. Maybe a little bit more dialed back because you're Kiara, you're, you know, a little bit more removed, but like your purpose now is to recreate what these people experience for every single person who visits this page. High bar. No pressure. Okay, so headline complex. Personalized and authentic. Capture your wedding day exactly how you envision it with unique photos that tell your unique love story. Photos that are candid, timeless, and unposed. See if your date is still available. This is not on the level of what we just talked about. This is all true. This is great. But this is so much less powerful than what it could be. So rather than personalized and authentic, what if it's like, I don't know, like photos that like feel as beautiful as you look on your wedding day. Wedding photos that that capture the moments you love or the moments you don't even know you'll want on your wedding day. Blah blah blah. Just insert some of this into this. Less about unique photos. It's less about being unique, special, different. More about the impact. More about how they'll make you feel. I see you're doing that a little bit, but this could be tuned up so much. This is okay. I'd be a little bit careful because some people probably want pose photos. There is a level at which wedding pictures, like you'll do have like that session after the ceremony where you are taking photos. So don't, make sure it's clear that you are doing all types of photos, and then the unposed ones are one part of what you receive as part of that package. About the photographer. Hi, I'm Kiara. Get rid of this ellipses. This is a comma. I've been a photographer and have been capturing special moments for over a decade now, learning the tricks of the trade and navigating many love-filled weddings and planning my own. I get it. It's a lot. My specialty, capturing your story as it naturally unfolds, giving you a genuine, candid, emotion-filled retelling of your story that you can almost taste. I want you to look back through your custom gallery and relive your special day, watching unfold as naturally in photos as it did on your day. My special recipe, making even the most camera-shy folks feel completely at ease in front of the lens. How? Because I get it. I'm also super shy behind the camera. Definitely more of an introvert than an extrovert. As the one who's usually taking the photos, when the camera gets flipped on me, I start to tense up as well. This has given me the unique perspective of being on both ends of the lens and helped me adjust and develop my photography style to not only capture great moments when you are a bit tense, but most importantly, help you relax and feel more in the moment and comfortable, which, trust me, makes all the photos just that much better. But don't worry, I get it. Planning a wedding can be overwhelming, and I'm here to guide you through the process. I'll keep things simple, offer valuable advice, and ensure your journey to the big day is smooth and stress-free. Now, together, let's make your dream wedding a reality, capture authentic, genuine emotions, and keep your love in focus. I imagine love and focus is like the website or something. So, rain or shine, got you covered. We'll have a game plan for your wedding. Cool. Critics. Looks like more testimonials. It's fine. Okay. I think I'm going to stop here-ish and skip the last section. So first off, you have a lot of like random like spelling and capitalization problems. Like there's no period here. You're not capitalizing I or I'm. Like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, these are small, but I think because this is a professional service, this is an event where people are sweating the details. Making these sorts of errors does become very noticeable, and this makes you come across as less professional for no reason. These are not difficult things to fix, and so make sure that you're going back and attending to those details. Yeah. Let's see. The other thing is that this is very you focused, and it needs to be audience focused. What is so impactful about these things, about these testimonials, is not just that these people like had a really good experience. It's that they're talking about what this photographer has done in a way that almost feels like the photographer wasn't even there, right? It is, I didn't even know this person was taking these photos, but whatever. But like they're beautiful. I didn't even know I wanted that, and that happened. It's about what happened to them. So when you're talking about what you're doing, this needs to be about, you know what, you might be nervous behind the camera, but that's fine. And because I've experienced, I will make you feel at ease. We're capturing your story, not because I want you to look back, but because you should be able to look back, yada, yada, yada. The then implication of that is that because this person believes that you should, this person is going to go through the efforts to do the things that will allow that to happen. Instead of saying my secret recipe, it is like, I feel like it's so important to make even the most camera shy folks feel completely at ease in front of the lens, because with all the stress leading up to the wedding, you deserve to have a stress-free wedding day or whatever, or because your photos are feeling beautiful or having your magical day captured in a magical way should be the last thing you have to worry about on that day or something. Just shift all this stuff from what she's doing, what she's thinking about, to how the customer should feel and be thinking about these things. People will understand that the reason they're able to do that is because this person is working to do those things. So I think that's a pretty simple shift. All this logistics stuff is fine. The price thing, like I would have like a different page or something for pricing. Like if I look up like wedding photographer, cool. And it's just like mostly pictures, stuff, you know. Portfolio about weddings. Let's see. It's just wedding portfolio. Like there isn't even pricing stuff yet. I think like that is usually for like you contact people and then you figure it out. So you don't even need to include this. So in this case, would you be sort of trying to match the copy with it? With what the testimonials do? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think these testimonials are great examples of how people actually experience the product when things go super, super well. And so you want to be drawing that best case scenario for people. And so the copy should be almost like pointing at the things that the testimonials are saying. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is that when we think about like most photographers' websites, they're not very copy driven. And so the copy is important, but most of the work is going to be showing. Very basic. I'm a wedding photographer based in this city. I like, I'll do traditional, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Here are examples of the stuff. Cool, cool, cool. You're showing the result. Testimonials are like great. I think when you have testimonials like this good, highlight the shit out of this because Val will do some work for you, but that's still going to sit next to the actual images because that's what you're paying someone for. You can't just say, these were great photos, blah, 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 without showing them because that's what people are ultimately going to buy on. And so almost like this stuff, like you don't even really need this. Some basic stuff of like, hey, I'm here, I do this. It's important for me to feel this way, yada, 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 and like cut it. This is like logistics once someone has said yes. If you are talking to a photographer, hiring a photographer, that's a conversation you're going to have as part of like the actual purchasing process. And so, you don't need to tell people this because this is an expectation. More testimonials, fine, sure. Nix this. You don't need to talk about the process. That is a conversation post interest, and so they're going to reach out to you. I don't think people are worried these days about, okay, well, how are they going to take the photos? Or if you do include this is like way down the page at the bottom where most people aren't. Like this is not going to be a deal breaker for most people because this is going to be largely the same as like from photographer to photographer. So yeah. What do I think about this copy as a whole? I think it's fine, but I think it's fine. And the problem with this to me is that it sort of almost like misunderstands the genre. So like what you're writing for here is a primarily visual driven form of copy or selling. And so you need less copy. And the copy you do have is not going to be focused around a lot of the things that we think of when we generally talk about copy. You don't have to do such hard selling, or you don't have to do so much reassuring because what will actually make the sales is the content of the portfolio. And so use the copy you do have to speak to the experience, to speak towards the philosophy, the value, how you think people should feel. Not logistics or not what makes this person qualified to do this. People will naturally understand that through reading the copy or through seeing the images. But like, I cannot understate this shit is just like gold. And so like take advantage of this, abuse this. Like, you could even like get rid of one of these or something and just like use what it's saying, like rewrite it in the form of copy, like down here or something like that. Like this is the experience I think people should have. Like this stuff is just so good. Like you cannot. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen testimonials this good before. All right. Next one. This is from Victoria. An email sequence. So this is 2 emails from an email sequence for a fitness and health coach. He sells his coaching services. Target audience is women between 20 and 50 that want to lose weight but don't want to diet and don't have a lot of time. They're sick of eating only lettuce, rice, and chicken to lose weight, but they aren't super active and don't feel comfortable going to the gym. Book a 30-minute call. The email, this will be written in this person's in Victoria's native language. It's translated so okay, cool. So that just for what that means to everybody else is that I'm going to be looking at sort of the structure, the format, the ideas about this way more so than the copy, or than the actual like grammar and word choice and stuff. With that said, I might comment a little bit on some of the wording if it seems like it's off theme or off topic, but Victoria, feel free to ignore or whatever if that doesn't feel relevant to how this will eventually be written. So first, we have a welcome email after signing up for a free low-calorie recipe ebook. Subject line: here's your free recipe ebook. I feel like we could do more. We could do better than this. There is value in being direct about this and saying, "Hey, here's the thing you just asked for." But can we be like, or have like a preview text or something that's like, your journey to whatever without suffering is right here. There's an opportunity to say a little bit more than this, and so think about what that might be. Body copy. Hey, name. Congratulations on taking your first step towards your goals. Here is the ebook about healthy and tasty low-calorie recipes. As you browse through this ebook, you might be surprised. You're probably not going to find what you're expecting. By that, I mean boring, tasteless recipes of plain chicken, chili sauce, and broccoli. Instead, you're going to find crispy waffles, spaghetti full of flavor. Why does it say what's wrong? Oh, okay. And cheesy pizza. But Dave, that doesn't sound like dieting, you might think. That's the whole point of my coaching. I'll help you lose weight and reach your goals without feeling like you're on a restricted diet. If you want to know more about how I've helped hundreds of women lose weight without dieting, book a free 30-minute consultation below. CTA, sign off from Dave. Okay, cool. Very straight, very to the point. I think there's an opportunity to say a little bit more here. So like, hey, here's a free ebook filled with healthy and tasty low-calorie recipes, so you can reach your health goals without suffering. Adding a little bit of a why as to why it's important that this person now has this thing, or what having this ebook is going to help the person do or help the person avoid. I think this feels correct to me. Basically, as you go through, you might be surprised because I think both of these lines feel like they're saying the same thing. Depending on the language, it might be fine to have both, but just as an English reader, it's a little redundant. By that, I mean you won't find boring, tasteless recipes, plain chicken, yada, yada, yada. Again, translation thing. Just going to flag that. Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, this is fine. It's cool. I think there might be a better way of framing this. Like, it feels a little bit direct to go straight to free consultation from here's this ebook. Maybe like book a free 30-minute consultation to discuss how we can do this for you or what a plan like for this would look like for you. It's a little bit broad, and so you could do a better job connecting like the personal aspect of this. Yeah. So email 2 is then going to people who haven't booked a consultation yet. Subject line: do you know what Jessica did? It's a little unclear, definitely a translation thing, but I don't know if this means, do I know what Jessica knew, or do I know what Jessica like literally did or acted? I guess let's read the email first. So, hey, name, I hope you're enjoying your low-calorie recipes. Maybe you haven't had time to try them yet, and that's fine. I know losing weight can be hard and feel time consuming, but it doesn't have to be that difficult. Last week, I had a call with my client, Jessica. We've been working towards our goals together for the last 8 weeks, and so far she has lost 6 kilograms. And no, she didn't do intermittent fasting. She didn't do keto. She didn't go to the gym every day or go for 10-kilometer runs. All she did was make small changes to her everyday routine, and that's how she managed to sustainably lose all this weight without a restrictive diet, going to the gym, or fasting. Before she would go on these diets and regain all the weight, so she gave up on them. But with this method, she's for the first time able to maintain her new physique. But enough about her. Let's talk about you. Are you ready to implement small changes in your life to lose weight, maintain it, and finally feel comfortable in your body? Book a 30-minute consultation below. We'll talk about what changes are realistic and feel comfortable for you. Sign off. Okay. First thing, I would make a reference to how these recipes don't suck. Just because it's continuing from hey, these things are actually delicious. Always time consuming. There's a little bit of a. I think this feels wrong to me in that it's not speaking the time consuming part doesn't feel like it's relevant. Maybe it does. My struggle here is that you say, okay, I know it can be hard and feel time consuming, but it doesn't have to be that hard. And so now we're already not talking about time consuming. And then we go to this example of Jessica, where she is getting results and she's not doing any of these things that we're going to say are hard. And so this point about time consuming doesn't feel relevant until we get back to the bottom of how simple the changes are. I guess it's here. One thing this misses for me a little bit is a sort of why people deserve to have this. There's an opportunity to get a little bit righteous about, you know what, women shouldn't have to suffer. They shouldn't have to do this stuff just to feel good about themselves. And so I would try to weave some of that in here, because it's okay, yes, didn't do anything, these things, had some weight loss, but sort of using the second email as an opportunity to remind people that yes, they have these goals, but also they deserve to achieve them. And then it's less about the how or the technique, but also more about getting to that end state and reminding people that this isn't something that they just kind of want. It's something that they want to feel, if that makes sense. Yeah. This is a good note too. Is if you've just signed up to this list, because now you got your thing. And so maybe you'll get the recipe book, you'll use it, maybe you won't use it. Then you get an email about what did Jessica do? Or do you know what she knew? It doesn't feel super relevant because you're still probably playing around these recipes. But also it's not, Jessica isn't relevant. You could say, last week I had a call with my client. You don't even have to name Jessica. And so this is a missed opportunity where you could say you deserve to feel good when you're losing weight, or it doesn't have to be that, or this doesn't have to be that hard, whatever. Speak to some of these other things, these notes that you're hitting in here. Because if you get rid of Jessica here, then you can just kind of talk toward speak to this process, and then use this process as a general thing that anyone can access if they have the plan, if whatever. Yeah, and this is another angle too. Paula, once again, being the MVP. Like, this email could just be, hey, have you gotten a chance to use these recipes yet? And there's a few things you could do. One, you could just go straight into this like book a 30-minute consultation. Two, if you look at Instagram or any sort of like blog content or whatever, you're linking to pictures of the recipes that are being made that look all tasty and stuff, or like those posts can have links in them to other places. They can like link to a call, link to whatever. What else? There's just like a lot of ways to do this. You can slow this down. Like, it doesn't need to be a 2-email sequence. And then later on, you get into, okay, well, here are experiences that other people had, or here's what some research papers are saying, or here's why most diets fail. There's so much you could do. It feels like you're just kind of trying to get to the end of your sequence by talking about all these things at once. You could have an email that's just like, why intermittent fasting isn't just suffering, it's failure. Yeah, there's a ton of opportunity here. I would take a step back and be like, okay, well, if I had 7 emails to write this sequence, what are all the things I'd like to talk about? And you don't actually have to go and write all those emails, but structuring out in that way gives you the ability to be like, okay, well, let me try writing this one about intermittent fasting. Let me try writing this one where I'm going to get social content involved. Let me try writing this one where I'm talking about past examples of previous clients. And having it be about one thing will allow you to write with a lot more specificity and clarity. Okay. Only 4 more to go. So this next one is from Remis. Very basic squeeze page with 4 of the best bullets I wrote out of the 100, I think. Thank you. Formatting issues. So reader, young men who have had trouble dating women in the past, and they're trying to figure out how to approach and date women. They want to start off with a kind of guide to learn how to talk. Okay. So it's a squeeze page leading to a magnet in exchange for an email. There's a free beginner's guide to learning verbal game. So how to flirt with women because they've had trouble with it in the past. Context, the reader found the squeeze page through a blog post related to the topic. The lead magnet is based on the imaginary squeeze page found on Todd V Dating's blog site. Okay, great. I love how we've gone from empowering women to now spitting game. Okay, I'm just gonna do this just so it's easier to see. Can I do that now? Okay, cool. You can change this back later. Okay, so free beginner's guide to verbal game. Picture. Use this simple guide to grade and level up your verbal game. Identify opportunities to create high-value openings, increase your attraction level, and get more girls. Bullet 1. Grade your level of verbal game to reveal gaps and opportunities to create high-value openings, leading to more dates and nights of real connections. Learn how verbal game can be applied to quadruple your success rate with women dating. Instill these 5 high-value habits for consistent attraction results. Master the debrief, the fastest way to learn from your mistakes and enormously increase your game. Quote, this is the exact beginner's guide that X put together when he started his attraction mastery journey. The guide is a collection of frameworks, verbal game examples, and proven strategies that many of our students use every day to improve their game levels. Download it and use them. They work. Picture. Get instant access to the free beginner's guide to verbal game, plus see the free strategies we use to learn game fast. Got a link. On the top right. So then stuff, grab a free box. Cool. Okay, this is a fun one. Yeah, look, you're not gonna get copy wrong. You'll be fine. I love that this is how you got to this. This is a fun niche. I mean, let's like take a step back and think about this. Like, what are we doing here? This is basically male empowerment. So if the last one was female empowerment, this is male empowerment. So the challenge with this copy right now for me is that we're definitely using the language of game. You know, we're talking about high value openings, high value habits, you know, verbal game, increase attraction levels. And all of that is like fine and good depending on how sophisticated your audience is. If they watch a lot of content about this, they'll get it. That's cool. But it's very technical, right? Like we're basically saying, okay, well, it's like first of all, we're going to grade your game level. We're going to reveal some gaps and opportunities so we can level up. We can like, you know, practice this. We're going to quadruple your success rates, and now we're quantifying. We're basically we're making like an Excel data chart of like how well you're doing with people. We're gonna have these habits. You know, we're gonna talk about like learning from your mistakes and increasing your game. And so now we're not even talking about like talking to women. We're talking about like looking at like your skill chart in a video game. We're trying to like get from level 1 to level 10. Then the quote you have is about like, you know, mastery journey. And so we're taking this this skill that is presumably about forming human connections with individuals, and we're turning it into this journey that is about like that is very self-centered. I'm going to put a pin in that, but now it's about what you're doing and your skills and your mastery, and that involves frameworks, examples, and strategies. And it's almost like, I think the tell here is that we're using all of this stuff to improve your game level. And so we've gamified this game. We're getting a little deep here, but like we're now doing this thing where we're trying to play the game of dating. And now we've turned playing the game of dating into its own game. And so now it's like the success and the whatever isn't how many people you're talking to or how like deep your connections are. It's like how good you are at this thing, irrespective of whether or not you're using it to form connections with people that feel good. And so we've abstracted ourselves. We've taken ourselves out of the realm of, hey, are you getting dates with people? to, are you level 99 game spinner? And that's like, I feel like you lose the plot a little bit. It's a little bit self-centered, but I think this is something that happens a lot in the niche. And this, as I'm not an older man, but as someone who's been through this cycle of not knowing how to talk to girls, to figure out how to talk to girls, to doing that a little bit too well, to then finding peace and balance and whatever, you get to a point where eventually you understand that like, yeah, it's great to be comfortable and confident about women and be able to like approach people who you're interested in like dating. But also if you focus so much on the pursuit, you lose sight of the people you're talking to as people because you've turned it into a thing you're doing for your own entertainment and self-validation. And that can feel very good in the short run, but in the long run, I think it's very like dehumanizing, and you come out of it like often, or maybe sometimes, not feeling like you got a lot out of it. And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of anxiety. And is it really worth it is a question that it comes up. And you know, for me personally, I think I don't think I ever really fell into this particular rabbit hole, but like you do kind of realize, wow, I was spending a lot of time and energy thinking about this and like making it a really big thing, and I could have felt so much less stress over this if I had just taken a step back. Yeah, so that is then going to lead into this conversation of, okay, well, the kind of person who is attracted to this, what is it that they really want? And I guess to have like a side conversation really quick, the reason that a lot of programs like this are successful or they sell well isn't because they're the best answer, or it isn't because it's the answer that people want. It's often because it's the only solution that's presented to people. if you've been on the internet in the last like year or so and you've seen, content from or conversations about Andrew Tate, I think it's very easy to like look at him and be like, wow, like his content is toxic as fuck, because it is, and it's incredibly problematic. But there is a problem when young men feel like the only people presenting them with, attractive forms of masculinity are the people on the furthest end of the extreme. And so maybe we need some people in the middle or like in between to like present alternatives that people who are otherwise reasonable might be able to look at and be like, yeah, I want this, not like this crazy dude's version. So we get there when we, as like well-adjusted people, look at the deeper beliefs, wants, challenges that our target audiences are facing and say, okay, well, what would I do if I were in their shoes? Yes. And what I would do is just yell top G, top G, top G, and use that as my opener on every single dating app. Works 100% of the time, 1% of the time. Yeah. And like, we don't even have to get to that level of like, oh, we do the perfect gentleman, or whatever. But really, the secret to dating, no matter what your gender is like being at peace with yourself, being comfortable with yourself, and then being comfortable expressing that version of yourself to whoever it is you're trying to approach or whoever it is you're attracted to. It's not that hard. It's just most people have been sold this story about dating and how hard it is and how whatever their preferred gender, their attracted to gender is, like that makes them be afraid to be themselves, when really the sexiest thing you can be is confident. So let's use that to talk about the actual copy and what we should do instead. I think out of everything, this like idea of getting more girls is probably like the closest thing you have right now. But let's like kind of dive into that a little bit. Like, what is it? Like, what does it mean? What are we saying to somebody when we're saying, "Hey, you get more girls"? Really, that's like, hey, you can talk to more people. You can feel comfortable talking to more people. You can talk to people and have them receive you well, and not come across as like really awkward or gross or creepy or any of that stuff. So when we're saying, use this simple guide to get whatever, let's try to pivot from this really technical game language into the more, okay, well, what do you want to happen when you go talk to a girl? Like, use this simple, like this is like the simple guide to having girls not scowl in disgust when you approach them on the street. Or, the simple guide to like getting girls phone numbers or not feeling like a creep when you approach girls, or, having girls want to talk to you. These are much lower level things than, increase your game level or whatever, but they're also real tangible examples of things that people experience and think about. When it comes to this, it is helpful to kind of create unique mechanisms, which is to say, like, come up with like, okay, this is like your skill level or whatever, to help people understand what it is you're talking about. But it doesn't have to, like, I think there's a more human way of doing that. So say, for example, like, we could call it the confidence system or the whatever system. It doesn't have to be like this level of like crazy in order for people to be like, oh, okay, I get what you're trying to say. We do have to acknowledge that, though, that like this isn't just, do you want to date people? Do you want confidence? Do you want whatever? I think we have to be honest and say that it does feel good to feel wanted sexually. And so, and like particularly as guys in Western cultures, at least, like there is a level of like feeling good you get just from knowing that if you like wanted to sleep with somebody or go on a date with somebody, that like they would want to do that with you. And so, like, I think we can acknowledge that not all of this is like, hey, I want to form real human connection, but sometimes it is as simple as like, yeah, I want to go out and feel like if I wanted to go home with somebody, that I am an attractive enough person for that to be possible for me. I am that Chad guy, whatever, without being that level of douchey. And so like when we're talking about like, real human connection or, feeling good or confident, I think we do have to acknowledge, and we can be honest about the fact that sometimes that means doing things that aren't always like the gentleman, whatever. And that's not a bad thing. I think if we're going to embrace women's sexual liberation, I think there's a level at which we also need to acknowledge that it's permissible for men to engage in that as well. So yeah, this is a much higher level conversation about the sort of dating industry, but I think it's very important to think about, okay, well, when we're trying to reframe what these people are doing or these things that we think are toxic or not very effective, what is it that we're really talking about, and what are the outcomes we're trying to drive for people? All of that tells you how should we talk to our target audiences in a way that is still persuasive or seems attractive, but maybe is like robotic and dehumanizing. Yeah, AI picked a fun one for you. Do you have any other questions about this one? This is pretty short, so there isn't a ton of like to critique here in the copy itself, but happy to answer any questions on like the thinking behind this. Okay, awesome. So let's go to the next one. So this is Galen just want to look at his portfolio. So wedding squeeze page, we looked at that already. I'm not going to actually really go into this copy much. Just like take a so they have a squeeze page. They have a landing page. I think landing page services. It's cool you mock this up in Canva. Another landing page for pool installation. This is cool too. You like order the stuff. So you have a landing page that leads to a sales page. It has an email sequence, Facebook ad. It's a great way to do it. Add props. Another landing page. Yeah, no, this looks good to me. There's tons of different examples of copy. We love that. Yeah. Yeah, and really, Karen, I think the thing here is just like if you take away anything from this exercise, like you don't even necessarily have to try rewriting it, but just thinking about how we approach writing for any kind of niche, because we could have that same conversation about like the women's empowerment thing we were doing earlier, or about any of these products. Really, is like, okay, well, people are approaching it wanting something. What is it that they really want? And what is the outcome that they want, and how are they responding to do they like our products because it's the only option available, or because it's really the best option? Just kind of get into the habit of like thinking about that. Okay, so next one is from Mr. John Cornelius. It's a community of young professionals who are career driven. The idea is that it brings these people together to support their career growth. There's a homepage, and the action offers showing the mailing list to stay up to date. And yeah, so develop your career with a community of like-minded young professionals, exclusively for junior and mid-level professionals in the Northeast. Sign up for the newsletter. Pictures. Every sector, every industry, and your role. It's a community, independent community, which means you get to rub shoulders with people from all professional backgrounds, from apprentices to mid-level managers. This is your opportunity to see how your work positively impacts real people in all parts of the region's economy. Plus, you can cross-pollinate ideas for collaboration and make an even greater impact. Make lasting connections, control your career development. Subhead communication. Okay, so what is this all about? One, your career needs. Handpick insights. You're seeing email with deep dives. Who we collaborate with, meet the founders, John and JC. Is the North, I don't know, is the Northeast like an actual place or is it like a region? This feels like, if it's just a region, this feels very not specific. Like, could you name like a city or something? Also, England, like, why is this like this region specifically and not all of the England or even the UK? Is a question that comes to mind. You might have a good reason for this, but I'm like, why are we narrowing it down so much? Because England's not very big geographically. Okay, so let's think about this. So we have this page. Come develop your career, join the community. Cool. I feel like there's like an opportunity here to punch this up. Like, develop your career. Like, I would kill young professionals in here, kick this like junior mid-level thing up into here somehow and be like, what, like the only online community for junior and mid-level professionals, or for like growth-minded junior mid-level professionals, and then have this sub be something else. Then if you say join this, then this is kind of like a pseudo CTA in your headline that makes up for this being not super compelling. I feel like before you get into this part, you need a sort of like, what the fuck is this community? What is it? You could repurpose this section down here and say like, hey, does this sound familiar where you're struggling to do this, blah, blah, blah. Basically tell readers their story and use that as an explanation for why you guys had to create this group. Definitely cut this down a bit in terms of length. Just like really hone in on it's like, we made this because of this. And then what's the benefit? These things. Cool. Topics of interest or something. And like, what do we do? Like, I'd reframe this as to like, what do we do, or like, how do we show up or something? And yeah, I mean, I think this is like pretty straightforward and fine. Obviously, it's not like fully designed and stuff, and so it's hard to comment on like the actual flow because I imagine this will look different. But really, the biggest thing is just in between this and this, you need to tell people what this thing actually is very quickly so they understand why this exists or who it's for. Because young professionals or junior middle professionals can mean a billion different things, and if it turns out that you're really just thinking about like finance people or business people and not marketing people or whatever kind of people, people might be like, oh, this isn't for me. So just be specific early on. Yeah, so this would be my question is like, is there a plan to grow beyond the Northeast region? Because if so, you don't need to like specifically constrain Northeast England. We're going to look just for all the other Americans in chat. Oops. So it's like here. Newcastle upon Tyne, Durham. maybe this is just me being like an asshole American, but England just doesn't seem that large to me. And so, like, even if, because so the logic to me, I can understand, okay, we want to have live in-person events, therefore we're going to specify this is for people in the Northeast. However, I cannot imagine that it would be particularly difficult for someone to get from, London to Newcastle, like, or Manchester to Newcastle. And so you can like say it's based in the Northeast, but like you don't need to frame it as only for people in the Northeast because, you can get here. And that expands like your ability to recruit people or have a thriving community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it could be the case that you just hate people who aren't from there, in which case that's fine. But if we're thinking about growth, we're thinking about like the community, whatever, there is a level at which specifying just Northeast might unintentionally limit your growth. Just something to keep in mind. My guy, how does a regular day job for you? Is it highly stressful? No. I think depending on where you work as a copywriter, your workload is going to vary a ton. And so it can be very stressful if you take on a ton of work at once. But also you might be the kind of person who enjoys having a ton of work. Sean, for example, is someone who always has a ton on his plate, and it's probably stressful to an extent, but he also seems to enjoy the lifestyle he has. And so that's a trade-off. There are other people who work pretty minimally, just for like a few hours a day and make less money, but it's not at all stressful. And there's plenty of people in between. One important thing to keep in mind is that you're typically working around deadlines. And so for most people, it's probably like not stressful and then gets stressful and goes back down. And so it's kind of like a graph of like stressful and not stressful, depending on, where you are in a particular work cycle. All right, our last piece of copy. This is from Selly. No context given. So they sell wireless thermometers. Company name is the Meat Stick. Saying that in the video is going to be fun. You're damn right. Meat Stick, Meat Stick, Meat Stick. I imagine. Let's see. Let's just look. Meat Stick. Oh God. Thermometer. Is this just like a wireless meat thermometer or something outside, or? God, my history. Is there an app for it? All right, so it looks like you literally stick it in the thing. It's just a wireless thermometer. Okay, cool. We now understand the Meat Stick. So, subject line, Mendel plus Meat Stick, RE, email, marketing, and more. Hey, Mendel, I came across Meat Stick recently, and you guys have a really great app. I saw you used to be the CTO, and I assume you may have something to do with that. I found a few key things being neglected in Meat Stick's marketing, which can be losing you a lot of potential sales, like your email marketing and product pages. I put together a quick video for you and Daniel to explain what I mean. So if you have a few minutes, I'd be grateful if you could check it out. Link, thanks, Brandon. I low-key love this. It's so short. It's very to the point. When I get cold emails, I love cold emails I get where I can read them and then immediately like ignore them, which is not like, sorry, which is a good thing. And what I mean by that is like, I love when I understand what the person is trying to do very, very quickly. And so here it's like very clear. Hey, I saw this thing. I saw you used to work in this capacity. So now they know why you're emailing them. And then here's why. Here's the thing I want. And here's what I'm giving you. The one thing this is missing is like some sort of CTA after this. And so you say, I'd be grateful if you could check it out. Link, you know, if you're curious about this, or if you want to chat, or blah, 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 I would love to hop on a call with you, you know, let me know. So just have some form of CTA so that they know what to do after they watch the video, if they watch it. One thing to be careful about is like, make sure you're getting your roles right. So someone who's the CTO probably doesn't have a ton to do. I see. So you're saying this person used to be a CTO, and so you imagine they have something to do with how great the app is. The only problem is that they're probably not in charge of a lot of the marketing, and so you should be looking to reach out to the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer of this company, rather than the CTO. If you are intentionally reaching out to the CTO, you can ignore that. But if you're reaching out to the CTO about a marketing opportunity, I would make sure that you include a reason or present some sort of awareness of why you're doing that, because that is unusual. But yeah, that's cool. So subject line simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. See, I don't like this one as much because it's like you're trying to market it to the marketing person who's going to see through this. Like if I got this, I'd be like, this means nothing to me. Like, yeah, sure, maybe in some cases, but also not in some other cases. Why should I open this email? Hey, Daniel, I've also sent this to Mendel. I saw this quote on your page after coming across Meatstick, and it really stuck with me. Oh, I see. I would put this in quotation marks to indicate that it's a quote. Also, I'd say like the quote in the subject line, just so they know what you're referencing. It's obvious how much that idea has influenced Meatstick. I actually had a few ideas of my own that can help you guys get more sales. I put together a short video for the both of you. It explains a few key things being neglected in the product pages and with email marketing. So if you have a few minutes, I appreciate you checking it out. Link, thanks, Brandon. Again, have some sort of CTA. So like, if you find it helpful, I'd love to hop on a call. Or if you think there's a need for this, I'd love to hop on a call. Let me know. Cool. And then we have a script. Hey, Mendel and Daniel, it's nice to meet you. I'm Brandon. I'm a sales copywriter. So I basically specialize in writing words that sell products or services, and I get straight to the point. I'd love to help you guys grow. I came across you guys when I was looking for a wireless thermometer, and first of all, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. You're one of the best apps, and you guys are really making a product for yourself. When I was searching for thermometers, so congrats. First of all, I feel like this sentence is unnecessary. I actually have a couple ideas of stuff I can bring to Meatstick, and I'd like to talk you through them real quick. No more than a couple of minutes. So to start, I'm a big advocate of email marketing because the ROI on average is $36 in return for every $1 spent. And it's basically a free and automatic way to advertise your product. You just got to get more people on your email list. This feels clunky. You do this by making the email opt-in more visible with like a pop-up. Don't use filler words like this. And then you can set up a series of emails that send automatically once someone puts their email address in. I can write out the email opt-in, and completely set all this up for you. I've written a ton of stuff like this before. I'm a full-service copywriter, so I can punch up all the writing on your website and your Amazon listings. I'll even just show you some quick improvements you can make to one of your product pages. I do have to say, though, as a copywriter, I've seen a lot of product pages, and you're already doing a lot right. But with a few improvements, we can definitely get that conversion rate up. One really quick one is to specify your ratings, because your ratings are 4.9, which makes you very credible. Even if it was like a 3.9, it's still more credible because it's more specific. And to make yourself even more trustworthy by bringing up one of your best reviews and replacing the title, and then just move it over here, and I'll get it right down. And I get it right down here. But 50% of your audience won't scroll past this point. I imagine you're showing them all the stuff on the video, so I'm trusting that this will work correct. For that reason, too, it's best to bring up your description into the area they see as soon as they open the page, because what you write here could be the thing that convinces them to buy. A good product description can drastically increase your conversion rates on your product pages and your Amazon listings. One quick tip, to make it as good as possible is to focus more on the benefits customers get from your product. You could say something like 260-foot range, so you check on your Myatt from anywhere in your house. While using your charger's built-in extender, you want to be clear and focus on why your customers want a wireless environment in the first place. I had a few other ideas too. I just don't want this video to get too long, but since you guys are already growing, I think it'd be a good place to have a chat and see if it's time for you to have a dedicated copywriter. One is putting out high quality stuff for everything you're doing. We can even do a trial run of some sort and then implement other ideas when you see the results I can get you. So if you're interested, please send a quick message and we can set up a call. I'm free the rest of this week and through the weekend. Mornings and afternoons are usually good for me, so let's just say Thursday afternoon. But if another time is better, send me a quick message with what works for you. Then we can arrange a call. Thank you. Bye. Okay. One second. Okay, so the script. This is too long. First of all, I think I don't know how long this reads, but ideally you want like 2 or 3 minutes tops. The way you frame this, it's like I put a few ideas of my own that can help you get more sales. Some of this is watching. Okay, so first of all, there's just a lot of fluff in here and stuff that's like not immediately relevant to what they're doing. So if you want to say like, hey, like this is fine. You don't need to explain what copywriters do. These are marketing people. There's a level at which I appreciate being like, hey, I want you to hire me. But before you get to that point, I think you should kind of show your value proposition first. So instead of saying, I'd love to help you guys grow, you could say something like, I've seen some gaps in your current marketing that present opportunities for growth. I came across, your stuff when I was looking for a thermometer, and it's clear that you guys have one of the best products in the market. However, whatever, it's some sort of transition. You don't need to explain what email marketing is. You don't. You could say like, there are some really quick, easy fixes, like making your email opt-ins more visible or prominent on your pages, and having automating a welcome sequence for new subscribers, whatever. So basically, say like, here's the big opportunity. Then you can get into like, this is what I do. This is what I do for work. If that seems burdensome, if that seems like a lot, I could mock up some of this for you, blah, 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 blah. Just make it like very clear, like, here's the opportunity. I'm going to tell you this, whatever. Here's why it matters to your business. And then if you need someone to do this, this is the role I can play for you. All of the stuff you're bringing up is like more or less fine. But just like cutting down a lot of stuff like this, because before they hire you, like you need to see if they're actually interested in any of the things, or if they have capacity, or they have whatever. So before you get into the details of how they might hire you, or trial periods or whatever, just see if they bite on the ideas first. Yeah. The faster they can get through your video, the faster they can get through your email, the faster they can make a decision. And if it feels like you're telling them lots of things that aren't relevant, or that it's kind of like meandering or not well formatted, that's going to decrease the likelihood they respond.
But yeah. Also, your sign off, I wouldn't say like thank you, bye, like it's a phone call. And also, I'd say I would like leave the sign off or like the ending part like this. You know, maybe you could say, you know, the next couple of weeks are kind of free for me. I'm like flexible, but don't get into this level of specificity. They'll tell you. You know, maybe like, you know, hope to chat soon. Not thank you, bye. But yeah, that is I think that's it for this. The actual emails themselves are pretty good. The only thing is like make sure you have those CTAs. I understand you have them in the video as well, which is probably why you didn't include them in the email. But just for clarity, just whatever, have it here as well. Because maybe there's a chance that they don't read the emails, but they want to respond, but they find the opportunity curious anyway. They'd rather you talk them through it. Have the CTA in both of these. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for these. And we are now 30 minutes over, which is a lot, but also probably a record for us. And yeah, do you guys have any last questions, comments, concerns before I sign off? All right. Well, if not, thank you for coming to. You're welcome, Paula. Also, thank you, Paula, because you are the MVP commenter today. Next time you can just run the show. But yeah, thanks to all of you who joined me today. We made this a fun, interaction-filled stream. If you would like your copy to be on the next version of Whetstone Wednesday, you can always sign up for our Patreon and submit it through Discord. We do these, you know, usually at least twice a month, sometimes more, sometimes less, but pretty consistently. And if you sign up for Patreon and submit your copy in Discord channel, you know, we will take a look at it for you. These are a ton of fun. If you don't want to sign up for Patreon, that's also completely fine. We're happy to have you right here. Join our Discord anyway. It's in the description of this video, and we'd love to chat with you. Love to answer your questions and, you know, see what's popping. Hope you guys have a lovely rest of your week and happy Juneteenth. Peace.